I call the Honourable Minister Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, I did want to come down to the House tonight and take a call in this committee stages of what began life as a bill in my name and has now been so ably picked up by my colleague Michael Woodhouse, who is shepherding the bill through this Parliament. Mr Chair, I wanted just to reflect a little bit on the genesis of the bill and where it came from, the thinking in bringing it to the House, and where I think we find it now with the report back from the Commerce Committee. The original concern for me in this space came about listening to a report on the radio talking around a recent fundraising or a recent audit into the work of a particular charity, and I won't name them out of fairness to them, where more than 80 cents in every dollar that had been collected on their behalf never made it anywhere near the charity. Now, let me make this really clear. We're not talking about the costs of charity and running their organisations. We're not talking about the normal good work and admin overhead that go in within charities. We're talking about 80 cents in every dollar that hard-working New Zealanders gave, never getting anywhere near the charity that the donors thought that they were giving to. Now, that is a rort. It is a rort. When I give money to charities, when other members in this House give money to charity, as I know we all do, we fully expect that the bulk of that money, if not all of the money, will go to the charity we anticipate it will receive. When I started looking into the area, though, I found actually that in some cases the problem was worse. In a number of situations with what they're often called chuggers on the street, the charity muggers, 100% of the funds, 100%, often didn't make it to the charity. It's not unusual for some professional fundraising firms to keep the full first year of regular donations before they gave anything to the charity if the donor continued giving past that time. Now, a lot of donors will say, well, I'll give to this charity for a year and then I'll support that one and I'll support the other. They have no way of knowing that possibly nothing they have contributed from their salaries has gone to the charity. Now, I've got no issue at all, I want to make this really clear, I have no issue with charities using professional fundraising firms. I have no issue with firms running a profitable business, collecting on behalf of smaller charities who don't see the value in doing this themselves. That makes perfectly good sense, and during the select committee process, I sat and heard most of the submissions. Absolutely, we can accept that that is a valid approach for charities to take to not do this in-house. There is nothing in this bill that is intended to stop reputable, honest, transparent firms contracting to charities to do this work out of house, and I absolutely want to make it clear that this is not anti-professional fundraisers. What this is anti the element of society that saw this as a way to set up a bank of telephones somewhere, get on the phone, say, we're raising money for this, won't you give, and frankly ripping off New Zealanders. This bill is about protecting consumers, but it is also, as my colleagues have so ably said in this debate tonight, it's about putting transparency back into the sector. The number of people who came up to me during the process when this bill was being debated and said, you know what, I've lost faith in giving to charities because I don't know where my money gets to. Now, there are issues obviously around the auditing and regulation of charities, and I think that area has made incredible progress over the last few years, and that is certainly well in hand, but it left a gap between when you gave your money and the time it ever got anywhere near that registered charity. That's what this bill is intended to address. And I want to address the last two speakers. Mr Parker suggested that the bill didn't do anything, and then Mr Prosser suggested, frankly, it did too much. So, look, the answer to it is this. Initially, we tried to provide this in primary legislation to make a very clear approach. During the process, what became clear was two things. This did need to be a reactive, flexible tool, and I accept that. And primary legislation is never a good place to put in place fixed rules which are going to need to be able to be flexible and reactive. What we also found out, though, was that actually there was no way to do this without changing the law. There was no way to give the Ministry of Consumer Affairs the power to protect consumers in this area of law without a change to primary law. So, to Mr Parker, I would simply say, if you think this bill does nothing, you don't understand consumer law. My apologies, Mr Chair. Without this bill, there is no ability to protect consumers from the impact of unscrupulous rip-off merchants. I've been very proud to be associated with this bill. I thank the House for its support to date, and the givers of New Zealand support you too.
I call the honourable member Phil twice.